So do you see a competing market of Bitcoin futures ETFs? Because I know, as soon as ProShares announced Valkyrie in some way deployed a rule that they could skip the queue and they're also going to file or go ahead and get theirs
We're gonna
a
try.
trading. Yeah. So how does this play out? How many do we have 3 to 5 years down the line?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. My colleague in Hong Kong, Rebecca Sin, just did a note comparing it to the Squid Game, where you've got all these people whittled down to a couple, and that's probably true. The whole ETF industry is like a Squid Game. It's a brutal industry because unlike mutual funds, they don't pay any broker. There's no distribution fees, so all the money you get into an ETF, you kind of have to earn. And so a lot of times, if an ETF is out and gets like volume, and people see that it's liquid, they'll start to flock to that, and and then all of a sudden, volume and assets beget more volume and assets. That's why you have inequality in an ETF category. So let's say 10 launch this year, probably 2 will have over half of all the volume and assets. And honestly, the ones that come out first have a huge advantage in that. So BITO, ProShares, is my on. We already predicted where we think the assets will be. We think this one will have 1 to 2 billion, and that'll be half of all of it. We think Valkyrie has a good chance. Valkyrie filed 2 weeks or something after ProShares, but because they're a new issuer, there's a loophole kind of thing where they feel like they can get special post effective granted. The SEC can grant them quicker. They can make the SEC can make a new issuer post effective faster than 75 days if they want. So right now, Valkyrie is probably on the phone pitching the SEC to let them do this as a new issuer. Everyone else has to wait the 75 days. So that puts Invesco probably up next, unless Valkyrie can do this move. So, well, tomorrow though, it'll be all BITO. BITO, I'm not sure what to call it. BITO, we're still trying to figure that out. But I keep thinking of Beto O'Rourke, but that's a whole different thing. But anyway, that's going to have the market to itself tomorrow, and that's big. It's probably going to trade a couple hundred million. That's my guess. Next day, it'll probably trade, and so it's got that 1 day lead can be a lot. Valkyrie, Invesco come in. We'll see how they can mix it up. Then you've got firms that are the Invesco is connected to Galaxy, so some of these firms are connected to wide networks of people, including in the crypto space. Like Bitwise has one coming out, so it's possible that even if ProShares gets the volume and starts to get a lot of the assets and attention, you could have a Bitwise or an ARC coming out a month or 2 later, and because of their strength in branding, they might be able to move the needle and go against some of that natural laws of ETF physics, which say that the first to market usually is going to be the dominant one. So it'll be fascinating to watch all these play out. Not all of them can make it. There's just not going to be enough for everybody. So my guess is a quarter of them probably bite the dust within 3 years.
Interesting.
And then another quarter probably just barely hang on. And then another quarter live in the middle class. And then a quarter of them are like studs, which means
Okay.
like over, making money, profitable. And then 1 or 2 will be like, like liquidity kings, that's where you want to be. That's a good place to be. That's like, and then when you have that much liquidity, you don't have to lower your expense ratio, your fee, because people just like the liquidity that much. But what we will see, speaking of fees, is probably over time, 95 bips is what ProShares is. I think Valkyrie's around there. You're going to see people undercut, and they're going to go, okay, I know that's liquid, but I'm going to sell to you for 40 bips, 40 base, 0.40%. So over the next couple months, you're probably going to see people compete on fees. So let me fast forward to 2-3 years from now. Where this is all headed is the same where it headed with stocks and bonds and ETFs, where you're going to be able to get a crypto basket of all of the cryptos and market cap weighted per percentage in a physically backed form for probably 10 basis points. And it's going to be highly liquid to boot. That's going to be a big deal. And it'll be messy getting there, but that's ultimately where this is all headed. And that's what happened with stocks. The Vanguard Total Market Fund is called VTI, and it's 3 basis points. And you get access to 3,500 stocks, 99% of the market cap of the US stock market. And it trades $1 billion a day, and it's 3 basis points. So it's basically free exposure, both on the expense ratio and the trading fees. And you get the whole thing. So ultimately, every category has come out with pricey stuff, liquid, and then it ends up just whittling down to usually you got one that's really liquid but a little more expensive fee wise, and one that's semi-liquid but very cheap. And I'm sure each category, whether it's the futures or the spot, will end up with 2 or 3 like that. So that's what I would look for. And that's pretty irresistible. If you're an advisor and you can get Bitcoin for 10 basis points a year and it tracks really well, and it's liquid and the bid-ask spread is basically non-existent, and it's in an SEC approved wrapper, and it can go into a retirement account. I mean, that's pretty powerful. And that's ultimately why this is a small step, but a big step. It's not Beto itself, it's what's coming.
Yep.